Welcome to the Andy Staples Show. We have a very special grown-up life skills edition today because if you're watching the video, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you'll see I'm holding a deadly weapon in my hand right now. Ari is nodding. Ari tried to do some serious damage today with this horrible implement that I hold in my hand. It is a Q-tip. Ari, why did you try to give yourself brain damage with a Q-tip today?
Let me ask you this question, Andy. Do you use a Q-tip every day?
No. Uh-oh. I think something's wrong with Ari's ears again.
My life is a disaster. So do you use a Q-tip every day?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Every few days. Don't want the gunk to build up.
Okay. So my fiance uses a Q-tip, I think, every day or every other day when she gets out of the shower.
Yeah.
I never, ever use Q-tips in my ears, like ever. And there's two schools of thought here. Like, are you supposed to do it regularly as maintenance, or are you never supposed to do it? Mm-hmm. And I was always under the understanding that you're never supposed to take the Q-tip to the inside of your ear canal. Like, it should only be to clean the cartilage of your ear on the outside. Right.
And I've definitely heard that school of thought sometimes. But let's tell your story and then we'll get to my story.
Okay, so I never do it, ever. And when I was a kid, I remember doing it, but I never did it as an adult. So last night, when I got out of the shower, I felt like, you know, that feeling that you have when you have water in your ear, like when you get out of a pool. Mm-hmm. So I felt that in my left ear. So I got a Q-tip, obviously, like any adult would, and I went in there to try to clean it up, and I cleaned it out. Okay, no big deal. Then Britt in the other room, watching me do this, says, make sure you get the other one.
Aha.
And I haven't given her flack for this yet, but so I just, for maintenance purposes, nothing wrong with my right ear. It was just my left ear. Start getting in there to try to get earwax out. Then all of a sudden, my right ear feels clogged. So I go harder. Like, this is annoying. I want to just sit down and watch Inventing Anna. So I'm like in there.
Oh my God.
And then last night, I could not get the clog out of my ear. So, you know, thinking nothing really of it, I just like, I'm sure my ear will just get it out, you know, naturally like it's supposed to. Of course. I went to sleep. I wake up today and it's like I can't even hear out of that ear. It's like there's an earplug in it. That's what it feels like.
Because there is a giant gob of wax.
So I went to a workout this morning and, you know, did my best to lift weights and I was fine. And then like at the end of it, I told everybody what was going on because I was clearly having a hard time hearing. And they're like, you have earwax stuck in your ear. And I'm like, I'm 34 years old. This is nothing that's ever happened to me before. So I'm like, what do I do? Because, you know, they have like suction on Amazon. You can, and somebody said, if you put water up there, you get ill. So I just called an ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor. And I just said, hey, here's what's
an otolaryngologist. Yes.
Otolaryngologist.
Yes.
ENT is easier for me. And he said, you need to come in and get it suctioned out. So I went into a doctor and it was awful. They were
picking what do they do?
I was like in a doctor's chair looking the other way as he's going through my ear. You know, those like, I didn't look at the tool, but you know, when you go to the dentist and they scrape plaque off your teeth.
Yeah.
It felt like it was one of those. And he was pouring some sort of dissolving acid or whatever, or water into my ear. And then there was a vacuum suction. And like this guy was going at it with an ice pick for an hour almost. And then finally, when it finally got it out, like I was like, oh my God, it was like relief. And I asked him, I said, I don't ever want to do this again. So what is the right way for ear maintenance? And if you haven't been able to tell by listening to this podcast, you know that like my life is just like I woke up this morning and I didn't think I'd have to get my ear suctioned out, but that's the way life is with me.
Yes.
He said, don't ever put a Q-tip in your ear canal ever. He said a Q-tip is only supposed to be for the outside of your ear. And even then you got to let the body run its course.
And this is the doctor saying this.
The doctor told me this. So like if you're one of those people like my wonderful fiance who gets up into her ear every single time she gets out of the shower and clears out earwax, technically you're not supposed to do that. But I learned today that I have very soft earwax. So if I push it at all with a Q-tip, I'm like I basically caused the issue myself by
So if
filling
your
my ear.
earwax had a little more grit, if your earwax were a little
Yes.
tougher, if it wasn't such a soft millennial earwax,
My
none of this
earwax
happens,
is like Laffy Taffy, and I think your earwax is supposed to be more like a hard candy. So
Gotcha.
like I learned that about myself today, and now my ear hurts a little bit, but at least I can hear. And the moral of the story is that nothing is easy in my life. Everything's always 7 steps harder than it needs to be, and all I wanted to do was just dab a little Q-tip up there, feel good, go to bed and watch a show, and wake up today and have a normal day. And we had to push the podcast an hour and a half because some doctor was drilling into the side of my head.
It is amazing. So Billy,
it was actually really painful too, Andy. Like he was it was like really uncomfortable. Yeah,
Billy Gamilla, who you know and love from the LSU blog and the Valley Shook, he believes that we should have a sitcom where you play my wacky neighbor, and all of your hijinks create the plot lines for each show. Because I gotta admit, I thought this was going to be a pretty nondescript day, that we were going to record a podcast. I had a little something planned to talk about. We actually got a little college football news that we're going to have to discuss. And then I get a text from you saying, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make the time we scheduled because I have to go to the doctor because of what I did with the Q-tip last night.
Yes.
That is perfect. That is an episode right there.
You have to push back the show because I had to get earwax suctioned out of the side of my head.
Now, I will say, when I was in my 20s, I did have an episode where I was cleaning my ears and I pushed a gob of earwax, probably very similar to what you did, pushed it in, and it was stuck in there. I didn't go to the doctor immediately. I went to the pharmacy and got the earwax removal kit with the bulb and the liquid and the
it worked
drops in there. Yes. Yeah. You put the drops in there, you just kind of let it go. And then eventually it sort of falls out. And this glob of stuff fell out.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have worked because apparently
I have very manly earwax that is hard and you have soft, dainty earwax.
I have soft
can't handle
earwax. Yeah, everything about me is soft. It's unfortunate. And it just
I didn't. You just walked yourself into that one. I had nothing to do with that.
It's true, and it's just like I feel like there's just something that I do every single day that makes people in my life like shake their head, like, how does this guy like manage to get out of bed in the morning? And it's true.
See, it's just I am amazed that think about how successful you are, really. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you can't even use a Q-tip, yet here you hold this great job. You have an amazing fiance. You've got a healthy, beautiful daughter. Like, you're living the dream, Ari.
I know.
Barely functional, and you've accomplished all these things.
Yes, I know. It's pretty remarkable. I maybe if maybe God's out there looking out for me. I don't know what the explanation is, but it's also kind of like I stub my toe, I trip, I drop stuff. Like if I have groceries and it's in a plastic bag, it always breaks. Like it's like every single thing with me is like 6 steps harder than it needs to be. And it's just like, I don't know, like how many adults are walking around and like lodged earwax so far up their ear that they're deaf in one ear and have to go get it suctioned out professionally by a doctor.
But hey, you took care of it. You got it done. You fixed the issue. See, all of these things happen to you, but you overcome them.
Yeah,
I appreciate you tougher than you think. Your earwax is not very tough, but you yourself are a very tough guy.
It's funny what we learn about ourselves, though. It's like and we'll go through the rest of my life knowing that I've got soft earwax that can't be fiddled with. And I hope that I can make it another 35 years from now without having an episode like that again. And like now I'm deathly afraid of Q-tips. So that's a new thing we can lay on a couch with a therapist and talk about, I don't know.
It's amazing. Truly, truly amazing. I didn't think we were going to wind up talking about that today. We were going to talk about a situation where I need you to rule on whether I'm the jerk or not, and we will get to that. But we've actually got some college football news that broke on Thursday that we've got to talk about. Jayden Daniels from Arizona State, the quarterback, in the transfer portal. That's quite a target, because this is a guy who has proven himself to be a pretty capable Power 5 starting quarterback. That's a pretty valuable commodity, and now he's available.
Yeah, and I saw that some of the schools that he's considering were Cal and USC. So or not USC, UCLA. My
UCLA.
bad. And I just like love the idea that these guys are just transferring to schools in the same conference and playing immediately elsewhere. But he is probably one of the more talented players at the position in the country, right? And actually might have some NFL upside. So, I know that the Caleb Williams stuff was, really, really big and really juicy. But we're talking about a top 50 player coming out of high school. I think he was from Southern California, if I'm not mistaken. That
He was, yep.
you know, has shown some pretty big explosive ability. And when you talk about ready-made quarterbacks that are going to be coming into the portal, I think this is probably the top 5% of the talent that you could probably find there, right? Like, am I over exaggerating that?
Okay, I'm back. I was actually trying to listen to a video of Jayden Daniels' teammates going through his locker. And so I missed all you were saying because the video from my iPad suddenly went into my earphone instead of your voice. So
Yeah. Do you want me to
but
start
needless
over?
to say, no. Needless to say, they are not they don't seem thrilled at Arizona State.
Yeah, and what I was saying though is that like the Caleb Williams stuff was pretty big. I mean, when it was all happening, and when you think about the fact that he's a top 50 former player in the 2019 class, and I believe from Southern California, what he's proven on the field at ASU, you would say he's probably a top 10% of quarterback talents that would ever find themselves into the portal. So, it's not going to get as many headlines as Caleb Williams did, and rightfully so. Caleb Williams was like the number one player in his class, but this guy's really, really good at football. And I don't know if it's a system thing or if ASU has a laundry list of issues that we haven't really examined. I mean, surely they do.
Well, I mean, we've examined quite a
Yeah.
few of their issues, and that may be the thing. There it just may be too much uncertainty. They've had to change coordinators, and he just may have decided, look, I'm not dealing with this. The UCLA thing's interesting to me because Dylan Gabriel was going to go to UCLA and then wound up going to Oklahoma.
That's right.
What does this mean for Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Is there another plan for him?
Yeah, it seems that UCLA always seems to be right in the thick of the major quarterback transfer discussions, and I do wonder about DTR because, in my opinion, he's a really good player. I don't know what that means for his plans, or if he's moving positions or moving programs or one foot out the door. I have no idea, but it has been kind of a head scratcher that UCLA continues to find themselves like looking for these kind of guys.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at Jayden Daniels' stats from last season, and Arizona State did not have the year that we thought they were going to have. But he completed 65% of his passes, 7.9 yards per attempt, which is kind of right around high side of average. 10 TDs, 10 picks. So you wonder, you put him in a good offense, you're going to, with that completion percentage, if you can get that sort of completion percentage out of him again, and you've got some talent around him, you can do something there.
I mean, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think that he would probably be good enough to start at 90% of the programs in America right now. Is that high?
Well, that would be all but about
15?
12, 15 programs. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. And he's a 3-year starter. He's seen all this stuff. So
we're talking about a talent too that had offers from Bama, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Oregon, A&M,
Yeah.
USC, and everybody else coming out of high school too. So like the pure talent, if you haven't watched him play, and it'd be crazy if you were listening to this and you haven't, I mean, he's clearly very talented. So I don't know. Like, it seems to me that he'd be the prototypical type of quarterback to run UCLA's offense the way that we know Chip Kelly likes to run it. But I thought DTR was really good too. So very inconsistent. Made some crazy mistakes and had been injured a lot in his career. But I thought he was a really good player. So if that's where he ends up, that'd be very fascinating to see because we're all waiting and wondering whether or not Chip is going to get that thing rolling there.
Right. Does Chip say, hey, I look at you and you have a Marcus Mariota type skill set? Because the guy has a good arm. He can move. So,
but also if you put yourself in Chip Kelly's position too, and let's just say DTR, like let's give him a Madden rating. Like, so
okay.
Let's say he's a 78. right? Which
Yep.
is not terrible, but not great. And then you can get a quarterback in the portal that's an 84 or an 85. Like, do
Yep.
you automatically, like, you're in that position right now where UCLA is probably wondering, is this thing ever going to take off? And, every year and every offseason, we're kind of like, UCLA is going to be, remember last year, I was like, UCLA is going to be really good this year. And, coming out and beating LSU the way they did in week 1, like, I was like, okay, this team's finally going to do something. And then they kind of whittled away a little bit. So, like, if you're Chip Kelly, you start feeling the pressure of, like, I need to produce soon.
Yeah.
And like Chip Kelly's always had
Well, I
this.
mean, they just decided that they're going to extend him. So I don't know
Yeah,
that he
yeah. I
feels
don't
any
know.
pressure there. Now, let me ask you this, sorry, because I'm curious about this. Are there other programs, and I think at this point, when a high profile person enters the portal, we should assume they have things narrowed down a little bit already.
Mhm.
But are there other programs that should jump in? I'm just going league by league. Who do you think should attempt to grab a Jayden Daniels? Because you said 90% of the programs in the country, but like, let's say you are Georgia Tech or you are, Wisconsin was trying to
I
get on
was
Caleb
going to
Williams.
say Wisconsin
Yeah,
because I wanted to poke at you a little bit.
poke away.
Like, isn't that the exact same scenario that everything that you said about Caleb Williams when it seemed like there was a chance there for Wisconsin? Not the same type of player. I think Caleb Williams
Well,
is a
he's
better
not the
arm
same type of
talent.
player because that's the issue. You have to decide, do you think Graham Mertz is better than him? And if you think Graham Mertz is better than him, then you don't do anything.
Who would you take if you had 1 year to win next year?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's enough of a difference to me to rock the boat.
Other than what the offense would look like.
Right. And
Because
I
I
know
think that
what.
Graham Mertz has a better arm, but Jayden Daniels would be the
Right.
most
And I think
electrifying
for the
offensive.
offense they run, it's not worth rocking the boat. So I
Can you
don't think
name a
I'd do
single
anything.
Wisconsin player that was as explosive on offense as this guy? I guess you could come up with some other running backs that came through there.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well,
I
you
mean,
talking about like Jonathan Taylor? Or
yeah,
are
I
you
know,
talking
I
about right
know.
now?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, in the last 7 years.
Jonathan Taylor is definitely more explosive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, prototypical Wisconsin running back running off tackle. There are plenty of those, but, like, I just mean, like, and I know running back's a skill position player, but just quarterback, wide receiver, pass catcher, somebody. And it's just like Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the NFL now. And, I think it was a Heisman discussion at some point in his final year there. So it's just like, I'm trying to say more oozing with athleticism. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how to put it. Somebody
Right.
that you can envision, like, making a really big play in space because they made somebody miss. That type of player. Like, and that's the type of guy that Wisconsin really hasn't had much of. So, and if you put the ball in somebody's hands like that every single play, it would be a very interesting discussion. It's like if you're Jayden Daniels too, and I don't know, he's kind of skinny, so I don't know what his
That's
NFL
the thing.
prospects are.
It's not the same as Caleb Williams.
No, it's
It's
not.
not.
I'm not trying to make it
So,
the same. I hope
and
nobody
and
took it.
that's why
Yeah.
it would be a much more difficult decision. By the way, the clip I was trying to listen to that kept drowning out your voice and actually just did it again. The quotes from the players: clear his blank out. He sucks anyways. That's what they said.
Things are going really well in Tempe, aren't they?
Yeah. Not good. Not great, Bob.
It really, really bothers me too, because I do think that Arizona State should be awesome. Like, I will
I know
die
you
on
do.
that hill. I will die on it.
Hey, they're gonna have an NHL team on campus soon. So come on. Who wouldn't want to be in Tempe?
I just don't know. We don't have to relitigate it, but I just don't know why. I mean, they cheated and their recruiting class still stunk. It's just like, I don't know what has to be done there to sign a top 15 class, but it doesn't seem overly difficult to me,
Well,
especially
apparently
considering
it's
the fact.
extremely difficult because
Well, what's going on there? I don't understand it. I just don't. I'll never. It's like a Texas scenario. It's like it's all there. There's a lot in place there. There's a lot to like about it, and it's just like not working.
yeah, they
And
don't have the wow factor in their facilities that some of the other schools have,
are
but
they
they
still in a
have
Are they still in a bubble?
they're still in the bubble, yeah, and that bubble is
That's
not very impressive.
inexcusable.
Yeah. But everything else they have, I mean, the campus itself, the town, I mean, you don't get much more wow factor than that. It's pretty beautiful there.
Yeah, I've had some pretty awesome nights there on Mill, so it's a good time. I just think it's crazy, and I don't know what would have to be done, like in this weird NIL world, and you just had the discussion with Dave Ubben on this podcast a few days ago. It's like, if I'm an Arizona State booster, do I want to funnel money directly to the next 4-star running back out of California, or do I want to build a facility that has a lazy river and a pool outside? You know what I mean? And
you mean what UCF is doing?
A desert oasis is how I would put it. Something that is like beautifully decorated. You've been to Scottsdale plenty of times. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're
Make
talking
it look like
That's
the Phoenician in there.
They don't have to go far to find inspiration.
Yeah.
Now, they also don't have to go far to find a quarterback. How many really good Phoenix area quarterbacks are there that they never seem to get?
But it's just a shame, too, because they've done a really good job, at times recruiting the state of California. And it's like they got a top 50 player at the position, and he played for 3 years. And I don't know, did it work out? I guess you could say.
But again,
yeah,
did it work out? I realize recruiting Southern California matters at Arizona State, that you need to be able to do that. That metro area probably produces more quarterbacks per capita than any metro area in the country right now. Like, why can't you just get a good homegrown quarterback? Why is that so hard for you?
I don't know if we've ever discussed this. And that's funny. I'm wearing maroon today, forks up, but I feel like Arizona State doesn't have a passionate city, and nobody that's from. I grew up in Arizona. My parents weren't from Arizona,
right.
And I feel like everybody's like that. It's a
similar to Florida,
transplant city.
To Atlanta right now. Yeah.
But it seems like they've also done a poor job of evaluating guys. Like they should be offering, some of these type of players. It's like Jack Miller is going to Florida now, right? So
and had gone to Ohio State before.
And had gone to Ohio State. It's like Jack Miller was a really good high school prospect, but he wasn't at the same level as some of these 5-star studs that are just like Alabama, Georgia bound. He's not like an Arch Manning guy, but still a very above average quarterback. And I don't know what he's going to do at Florida, if anything, because Anthony Richardson's there. But Jack Miller is the exact type of player that should at least go to ASU. And there's how many examples of it? How many just flip up,
Slovis.
Rattle off all the names from the story you wrote a few years ago. There's a million of them. Wasn't Brock Purdy one of them?
Brock Purdy's one of them. Little brother Chuba has transferred from Florida State to Nebraska now. We don't know if he's going to be good or not. Jack Plummer, who was at Purdue.
And with a name like Jack Plummer,
yep,
you actually got to do it there, right?
Tyler Shook went to Oregon and
yep.
started there, but then went to Texas Tech and was the opening day starter at Texas Tech last year and got hurt. And you can go back to Kyle Allen, you go back to Bryce Perkins. There have been quarterbacks who've come out of there who could play. Ryan Finley is from the area. So it doesn't seem like there's any interest in either way. Like the quarterbacks are looking outside, and then it feels like Arizona and Arizona State don't tend to hit those local guys as hard. Or they just assume, when Spencer Rattler is there and he's the number one QB prospect in the country, they're like, he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, we didn't even say Spencer Rattler's name. There's too many years where Arizona State recruiting classes have 1 or 2 players from Arizona in their class. In 2020, they signed 2. 2018, they signed 1. 2021, they signed 1. And we know that Arizona has a lot more. It's probably one of the more faster growing, talented regions in the country. I mean,
yeah,
well,
and I mean, it extends past quarterbacks. We'll name some. Christian Kirk,
Ty Thompson's another one too.
Ty Thompson, another quarterback. Yeah. But Christian Kirk, Byron Murphy, Keely Ringo, the guy who made the pick six that essentially ended the national championship game for Georgia. Same deal. They're all there.
I don't want to give Arizona crap for losing out to a guy that wanted losing out on a guy that ended up at Georgia. You know what I mean? There's only a certain amount of reasonable expectations that you can have for a Phoenix player. If Alabama's in,
but does Byron Murphy have to go to Washington?
That is the problem right there. In Oregon, I think Oregon completely stole Arizona in 2022. I think Oregon signed 3 of the top 6 players in Arizona in the 2022 cycle. It was either the 2022 cycle or the 2021 cycle, but it happened recently. So, Arizona, the top players in the 2022 class in the state of Arizona, two of which were top 100 players. One went to Ohio State and one went to A&M. 4-star quarterback Nico Marchiol ended up at West Virginia. He was a top 300 player. Like, that's another example. Like, you could go class by class and find above average quarterback prospects that leave Tempe and go, or leave Arizona and don't go to
and
Tempe.
I mean, we've been over this with your alma mater in Tucson as well. I mean, Bijan Robinson, they didn't even try.
Yeah,
and he's like,
and like my
a mile
alma
from
mater,
campus.
I understand a little bit more because it's further away. Like, okay, you're in Arizona, and I'm not excusing it. I mean, U of A just signed a top 25 class.
It's not that bad. Yeah.
No, I know, but Arizona State is like one of the largest universities in the country and is right in the same city as a lot of these guys. Like, so in Arizona, it's kind of a niche place, having gone there. I'm not excusing it. I think it's been terrible.
But it is more of a,
look what
you're
Jed Fish just did in his first full cycle there.
Yeah.
Signed the first top 25 class in program history. Like, there's hope at these places. It just doesn't seem to be adding up. And I wonder if the demand from the administration and the fans really, really is there, because, there's a lot of programs, and I think Arizona and Arizona State are the poster boys of these, of resources and potential without ever really demanding more. And that's a shame.
It's amazing that they can't, neither one ever seems to be able to get off. Maybe Jed Fish, though, will be the guy, because you mentioned it. He signed a good recruiting class this year. He inherited a really tough situation and doesn't seem fazed by that at all.
And like, the thing too is that we're not asking him to make the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah. Just saying, compete in the Pac-12 South.
Yeah.
Which has not been a particularly great division.
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah.
So we'll see where Jayden Daniels winds up. Any other school that you can think of that Jayden Daniels, like, that should try to get in on Jayden Daniels?
I'm just trying to think of. I'm trying to think of.
Never mentioned them. Never thought of them.
Current programs right now that could use a really good quarterback. And what's Florida State's situation going to be like? I
mean, they think they're pretty happy with Jordan Travis right now, and they're gonna roll with him for now. They've got AJ Duffy coming in as a freshman, and I guess that he'll get a shot to win the job. But I think they feel like
AJ
Jordan
Duffy
Travis
is like a huge signee for them. So I'm just trying to look at like sexy programs that don't have the bona fide starter that they actually want. You know what I mean? Or like that, not that they actually want, that
it's like Nebraska, and Nebraska obviously has taken 2 transfers with the hope that somebody's gonna work out.
Yeah. I'd say Ole Miss, but they're in on every single quarterback transfer in the history of the world.
They got Jackson Dart. I think they felt like that's the guy.
That worked out well for them. Yeah. So Michigan State, maybe.
Yeah, I think Thorne. I'd be pretty happy with Thorne after 11 wins. I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska's got Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy, so we'll see what happens with.
I'm just trying to think of programs that are usually really good or above average that could use like dynamite at quarterback.
What about Texas? I know they just signed Quinn Ewers, but
yeah,
Casey
is Quinn Ewers going to be the starter at Texas for sure this year? You think?
Oh, I don't know. That I don't know. That's the thing. Like, now
he's doing a signing with Bijan Robinson and Xavier Worthy in Dallas this weekend.
There you go.
They're signing autographs.
My guess is he doesn't go there unless he's fairly certain he's going to get a chance to compete for that job. But if you can add Jayden Daniels right now to Bijan Robinson and Xavier Worthy, I mean,
do you know all I want in this world is an Arch Manning Quinn Ewers battle?
Well, I don't know that you'd get one. If Arch is coming, if Quinn is the established starting quarterback, that's fine. Or he could play. Let's say he plays this year and next year, and he bounces. And
Let me rephrase it. I just want them on the same roster for a year, and I want to see what happens.
You would have that in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Arch could kind of be the heir apparent.
What if Quinn Ewers doesn't win the job at Texas this year? And then
he better graduate fast.
Arch Manning comes in.
Yeah, if Quinn Ewers doesn't win the job,
quarterback battle porn right there.
He better he better take a bunch of classes because you got to get that degree so you can transfer again without sitting out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is an interesting dynamic with Quinn because I'm sure he'll be very good. I'm not, but when you blow your transfer after 3 months at a program into your freshman year when you're supposed to be in high school still, you're kind of handcuffing yourself.
Right. And that's something that I don't know that everybody's considering about this free transfer. It is
You don't want to
free,
use it too quick.
but once you've used it, you got to graduate before you can move again. And the coaches know that. So
yeah, he really used his get out of jail free card really fast.
Yes.
At a time in which he shouldn't have even been in college to begin with, which is funny because I still count Quinn Ewers as part of Texas's 2022 class, which is the best case scenario for Texas. You got the number 1 overall player in the 2022 class signed without his transfer ability.
Yeah, this is going to be a very strange next few years as this market figures itself out, because there are going to be players who are going to realize pretty quickly that when they get to the new place, the coach now realizes they have them sort of like they did under the old system, and anything they said to you, they don't really have to follow through on.
And also,
what are you going to do about it?
Jayden Daniels, to go back to that, is the best quarterback in the portal, right? Like there's Jayden Daniels.
Well, I'd say Jayden Daniels probably has I don't know if he has a better body of work, but he has a more reliable body of work, if that makes sense. JT Daniels has 2 injuries that kind of knocked him out. And then I realized the injury last year didn't keep him off the field at the end of the season. It was just that they felt like Stetson Bennett was better. But the thing is, you've had, a couple situations with JT Daniels, and actually 3 different seasons where an injury knocked him out. He wasn't quite healthy enough to play until the end of the year. And then he got hurt and had to miss significant time. So, like, you're not as worried about that with Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how it all plays out for sure.
All right, Ari, we need to figure out, am I the jerk here? Because I'm very curious what your take on this is. So the other night, I screenshotted a post by a guy. I screenshotted it because he's a college kid. I didn't want him tagged. I didn't want it too easy for people to flame him. But I thought it was very interesting what he tweeted, and it was a poll that he tweeted. So clearly he was looking for engagement, looking for responses. And so this guy's name is Sam DeSorbo, and I believe he's a student at the University of Michigan. And he asked this question. Here's the debate. If I were to play the entirety of each game for a team in the NBA, would I score 20 points in at least one game? And then in parentheses, assuming my team is feeding me and I don't have to play defense. This seems like an easy success to me. And the 2 options in the poll are would drop 20 in one game or wouldn't ever drop 20. Now, the correct answer to this is you wouldn't even score 20 points in an entire season doing that. But what I tweeted is, this is the sort of thing me and Mike Felder, Mike, from Power Hour podcast, he co-hosts with Nicole Auerbach, are talking about when we say some people have zero understanding of how good pro athletes are. And I said, and make an NBA roster good might be the best good of any major sport. So I didn't
because of the scarcity of the players.
Correct. There's so few spots, and you have to be that good just to make the roster.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the discussion of how many points you could score in an NBA game in a second. So there's a guy that comes after me and Felder, and I'm not going to use his name because he seems very sensitive about tweeting at other people on the internet. He apparently thinks that's wrong. He said, I'm being very disrespectful and mean because I tweeted this kid's tweet, and that I am bullying him online by having an opinion about the thing he had an opinion about because I have an audience that is significantly larger than this guy's audience. Am I the jerk for doing that?
I don't think you're a jerk because that's what he was looking for.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is what I told the guy. I said, he put it on the internet. And it's an interesting thing because this guy's younger.
In fact, the best thing that could have happened to him is that you did it because that sparked the debate even more.
People were talking about it. It wasn't because I did it. Other people found it too. People talked about it for days. Like, if anything, this kid's got a future. Like, he's created great content the week after the Super Bowl, which is a really slow week. Like, good for him.
Yeah. Also, too, it's just like, what does he think that they're just going to leave him at the 3-point line and that he could like score
That's what he's thinking, that he can cherry pick either beneath the basket or at the 3-point line. But before we get to that, and we will get to that because I think that's interesting too. What line do I draw is my question, because I do wrestle with this sometimes when people tweet something at me and I'll quote tweet them and get in an argument with them and stuff like that.
You're talking to the king of that. You're talking to the king of that.
But should we be doing that with people who aren't, I guess, public-facing people?
Yes.
I think so too. Because I think if you put it on the internet, you wanted people to see it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put it on the internet.
My take, okay? And I don't know if this is the right or wrong way to look at it, Andy, but we are sports writers.
Correct.
We don't cover the Pentagon.
Correct.
We don't cover politics. We're not writing about coronavirus and medical stuff and things that are actually like impacting people.
Right.
So like you are engaging in a funny sports discussion from a person who put it on the internet in order to have a discussion about it. So
exactly.
Also, if you see the vile, terrible things that people tweeted us every single day, like Twitter's just not for the faint of heart. You know what I mean?
No.
And if I tweet something stupid, and I have,
yeah,
I'm get made fun of all the time.
Well, that's what I told the guy. I was like, I say this as someone who gets clowned for stupid things he says on the internet every day. Like, that's part of the deal.
And like, also, you got to put it yourself in our perspective too, or our position. If I say something dumb, the entire internet reacts to it, or the college football slice of Twitter reacts to it.
Oh yeah.
If you remember, 2 years ago, the tweet that
you've never done that though.
I'm talking like ratioed to the world. And you know what, man? I'm just as prone to saying stupid stuff as everybody else. And I never get on this podcast. And the one thing I know that I do irritate people sometimes. They don't like my takes. They think I'm wrong. But like, I've never sat here and pretended like I'm right 100% of the time either. Like a lot of the stuff that I do. Yeah, the thing that we do on this podcast is to discuss things and to theorize about things and to kind of bring context to things. And I'm not perfect at that. You know, I just do the best that I can to absorb the information that I'm given at the time. And am I right about something? 100%? Of course not. So like, I've been dragged on Twitter plenty of times. And it's just like, I don't feel like you were even talking about anything that serious. So
I didn't even insult this guy. All I said is he doesn't understand how good pro athletes are. Like that's not even anywhere near.
I don't even know like where he thinks he would score, because I'm assuming that there would be somebody on him on every play. Well, so unless he's good at hitting 45-foot threes,
yeah,
with no one in his face.
I guess if you hit 7 half-court shots, that's your only shot. But yeah,
because also too, you got to remember the people in the NBA, even the smallest ones, are long and lanky as hell.
Yeah, like the short guys are 6'4".
Steph Curry looks like a little baby out there, and isn't he like 6'3" or 6'4"?
I think he's 6'2" or 6'3". Yeah,
yeah. That guy would jam pack the ball in your face every single time you tried to shoot it, even if he was 5 feet away. Like how high these guys can jump. Yeah.
Well, and
they also think that basketball is the worst possible sport to do this in too.
I think it is because everybody's played basketball. So that's where you get the unearned confidence is I've played basketball. I've made baskets on a 10-foot rim. But if you've never played basketball, and I've never played basketball against somebody who played in the NBA. I've played against guys who played in Division I. And the difference between me and a guy who played in Division I is like the difference between an elementary schooler and a high schooler. Like, you have no shot.
And everybody knows about those stories, and I'm sure that there's like campus legends all the time.
Right. And the guys who played in D1 are as far from the NBA players as I am from the D1 player.
But you've heard the campus legends of D1 football players playing basketball in the rec center.
Yeah.
The D1 football players are awesome. Like the level of pure
great athletes.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about this man and who posted the stuff, but like, unless he's 6'6" or super athletic, I don't think he would even sniff the ball hitting the rim.
Yeah. Oh, our producer Cam, there's a greater chance of someone finding that speck of dirt in their glass from Ari's What If on Monday than this guy scoring 20 in a season.
You should read the stat out there.
The stat is a 0.117% chance that you would swallow the speck of sand and die.
I love that he
in
just
the
went and
bathtub.
found like a normal bathtub to try
Yeah,
to like figure that
our
out.
listener Brian looked it up and did all that.
You should read his tweet. Read his tweet if you have it in front of you.
I do not have it in front of me. I can vamp for a second and find it though. But yes, he went and looked it up, and I appreciate that. I don't think we didn't get any stats on the turtle. I'm disappointed in that, but not surprised.
No, Cam gave us stats. He said it would take 2 years for the turtle to walk from.
That's right, Cam did. Okay, so Brian, he did the research, and he said, assuming the average bathtub holds 80 gallons of water, which is 10,240 fluid ounces. Assuming a 12-ounce glass is used, that would mean the bathtub holds 853.33 glasses of water. Therefore, the odds of getting the grain of sand and dying/killing a loved one are 1 in 853.33 or 0.117%. So,
well, the thing about the would you rathers too, dude, is that you don't have the math in front of you. So, like, I guess now that you have the math, you're like, do you think there's a 0.1? But like with my life, Mr. Earwax, like that doesn't really help me out.
What have we established on this podcast? That we are bad at math and our listeners are great at it.
On the Ohio State podcast with Landis the other day, someone asked us a really funny question, and it opened up a 25-minute discussion on the podcast about aliens and the insignificance of my life.
Of human life? Okay.
And somebody asked us the mailbag
our place
question.
In the universe?
Yeah, our place in the universe. Like, and we don't have to go down that road, but they asked a mailbag question. What is it? And the first thing I thought of before answering it was, I need to ask Andy this on the show this week.
Go for it.
What is the scariest message that Earth could receive from extraterrestrials? My answer was, get ready to die.
I mean, that would be scary.
Pizza Hut buffet doesn't exist anymore. One or the other.
That would be scary, but I think it'd be more like you look delicious, because getting ready to die encompasses a lot of things. Like, it could be something over in an instant. It could just blow up the whole planet and be done with us. But get ready to get eaten sounds way scarier. Like,
Landis said,
somebody's going to eat me.
Landis said that the scariest thing that he thinks an alien could say is, we're already amongst you.
But is that scary? Because what if they're nice? What if they're smart? What if they're bringing us jetpacks that actually work?
Do you
want
want
to spend
10 minutes on aliens?
Technology that allows for space travel.
You could make the case that Bo Jackson is an alien.
Oh, we could definitely we could make a case that everybody in the NBA is an alien.
So yeah, how many baskets would you be able to score in the NBA, assuming that nobody is human in it? Because
they're all aliens.
Yeah,
zero. So here's
what I told Landis though. I want to know what your take is, but we always talk about, like you just said, like I did well in my field, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got an 1100 on the SAT. I'm not a very I don't know if I'm very smart. Like, I'm an average intelligence, I think. I'm very good in public. Like, I don't ask dumb questions at rental car lines, and I can check out very quickly. I'm not like that dumb. But like, I try to envision, like, what do you think the coolest thing like that we use every day is? It doesn't even matter. Let's just use the light bulb.
Okay.
Thomas Edison created the light bulb at a time in which they were living off livestock, living in mud huts, and like there was no. And I thought to myself, what would be the first step with the way my brain works into trying to understand how to create a light bulb? Which really, when you think about the innovations that we've made as a human race, the light bulb is very insignificant in comparison. Like, me and you are looking at each other over a computer screen right now in different sides.
I mean, the iPhone, I tap this thing 3 times and someone brings Chick-fil-A to my door. Like,
so what is step one? All you have is dirt and rocks and whatever you go outside into the woods and find in order to innovate a light bulb. Do you know what kind of thinking, the type of plane that you have to be thinking on to even consider capturing electricity? And like, I think to myself, based on my intelligence as a man.
So you think Thomas Edison was an alien is what you're getting at? Like, was
Nikola Tesla not?
Oh my God, you're the guy from Ancient Aliens.
I'm not saying it's
we
aliens.
Can't possibly explain this, but must be aliens.
Listen, I think, and Landis said this, and I agree with him. If you think that we are the only people in the universe, that's arrogant and dumb. Okay, I watched a YouTube video.
It's absolutely silly. I mean, Who
I don't think people fathom how big the universe is unless they
it's
watch anything.
massive. We are a tiny little speck of dust.
It
No,
takes, yeah,
the sheer probability, because there's so many different galaxies and planets, and the sheer probability that we're alone in the universe seems highly unlikely.
it takes 17 million years for a ray of light traveling constantly, 17 million years to reach the end of the known universe. Can you fathom how far away that is? And to think that we're the only ones is just, I think, insane. And
I just love that you are Giorgio from Ancient Aliens, because that is his explanation for everything. Pyramids, aliens. Air travel, aliens.
but like when you think about the pyramid, listen, my people made the pyramids, so you watch your mouth, okay? You say we can't do manual labor. Like, go check out the pyramids of Giza, okay? But the points of the pyramids line up to the like centimeter to certain stars in the sky. And
Aliens.
it's like, and I'm thinking to myself, but like honestly, thinking about like the ancient Jewish people sliding rocks and making that as slaves, if that's what happened, how could they have possibly measured that?
I don't listen. I didn't say I didn't believe Giorgio Salakis Palos. I
Also,
just said you're him.
I was watching another one too where there were like 25-ton pieces of stone in South America that they discovered as one of the ancient ruins. It was made out of this stone, and it was 25 tons blocks of this stone. And this stone, which dates prehistoric dates, I don't know what, whatever. I'm not a professor, but before obviously ships and air travel and stuff. And that stone did not originate on that continent. So explain to anybody how the stone built in these ancient artifacts in prehistoric times that weighs more than a skyscraper ended up in South America. Like, it's like stuff like that.
Aliens
blows my mind. But tell me, Nikola Tesla, who invented like 9 million things, I can't even figure out like how to light a fire without a starter lock. This guy's out here.
You're tapping into the fundamental joke of Men in Black. Like that everyone with some sort of extraordinary ability is an alien.
Well, just judging on my capabilities and what I know my limitations are as a man, it blows my mind what people can do. And I'm not even just talking about physically. I just mean like mentally coming up with the things that we've come up with. Like just feeding off of the earth to be able to create a fax machine, which is outdated technology.
I'm going to bring this full circle. The next terrible Tom Cruise movie, aliens will invade. You know how we're going to kill them? Q-tips. We're going to push the earwax into their ears, and they're going to die.
Well, the best alien movie that I've ever seen was Signs. That movie scared the shit out of me. It's like a really good movie. And I actually don't like sci-fi at all. We've had this discussion. But like I'm not a huge alien movie fan, but like I can get around on aliens because I feel like it's within the realm of possibility. And it's like I am waiting for the day that like if you think about the size of Earth in the entire universe and how it's not even a speck of sand on a speck of sand. And we sit here all day talking.
I'm not going to spoil Signs for you, but well, if you haven't seen Signs, it's
been 25 years. You can spoil it.
It's not that old, but basically M. Night Shyamalan was like, what if I made an alien movie where the secret was the same secret as The Wizard of Oz? It's water.
I don't even care how it ended. It's just like I can picture a world where I'm sitting in my living room and then like I'm watching a newscast of intruders on planet Earth. And the thing that I told Landis that was more scary to me than the actual aliens would be is if human beings were given this information, that there were hostile aliens on Earth or coming to Earth. The scariest part about it would be the anarchy that humans would.
Oh, yeah. We'd all turn on each other.
Yeah.
Everyone would assume everybody else is an alien. It'd be anarchy.
That would be worse than probably just getting the planet exploded. But I do think that it is interesting that we on Earth are 17 million light years away from the edge of the known universe. And like you and I spend every single day yelling at each other about college football and people calling me an idiot on Twitter over college football. And it's just like to think about how insignificant that would be in the entire world or universe, time and space.
I,
It's just like,
it's insignificant on this world,
yes.
but
like,
it's a hell of a way to pass the time.
like for instance, like the ear, nose, and doctor guy that I saw
The
was like,
otolaryngologist.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. ENT said a lot of people have called today to get earwax come out of their ears. So apparently this is a regular thing.
It's
And
a
he said you were like
scourge.
the sixth person that called, and I was tired of turning people away, and I wanted to help you because I called like 10 doctors' offices and I couldn't find anybody that would see me today. And I said to I said to him, I said, I'm a sports writer, and it's like
I love that they're triaging it and they're like, guy who tried to kill himself with a Q-tip. Nope, no hope for him.
But I told the guy today in the office, I said, it's really awesome that like you and what you do like helps like relieve people. Like that's an important, like when you think about like my career in comparison to his career.
If you quit this podcast to join Greenpeace, I'm gonna be pissed. Because you mushed some earwax into your ear. I'm just gonna be very mad.
People are getting mad at me, fired up because I don't think that Oklahoma would have a top 10 recruiting class if Nick Saban coached everybody. That's what I did on Tuesday for work. And this guy like relieved pressure out of the side of my skull by dropping acid into my head and pulling it out. And it's just like, he's way more important than me on this earth. And like, I am on an earth where I'm one of billions of people. And this earth isn't even a speck of sand in the universe.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Scary.
Ari, by the way, gets severely affected by earwax. I think there's still earwax in his brain right now, and it's probably having an effect. Here's why we're all important. You guys especially, you listeners are important. We love you. We appreciate you. We like that you listen. We hope you're telling friends to listen to the show. If you're not already subscribing to The Athletic, theathletic.com/Andy Staples will get you 6 months for $1 a month. That is a hell of a deal. That is a very important thing. We may be grains of dust in this universe, but you will be a better informed grain of dust when it comes to the sports world for just $1 a month. That's what matters. Ari, I love you. I am glad that you did not do any permanent damage with the Q-tip. I do think if we're invaded by aliens, that there is probably a way to defend ourselves with Q-tips. They're very dangerous, as you've shown. And I think everybody should just have a great weekend.
Yeah, I love you too, Andy. Thank you for
think about where we are in the universe.
Jayden Daniels is far more significant than I am.
Me too. But hey, we all have our place. I'll talk to you later.